In this video, I'm going to go over my opinion on which game engine was best for myself and development of my projects. I'll go over my pros and cons that helped my process of elimination to find what would best suit my projects. The three main engines that I plan to go over are Unreal, Godot, and Unity. These three engines seem to be the most popular among indie game studios. My true motivation for game development started back in 2019. I had always been curious about it, and I'd been told by a variety of people throughout my lifetime that it's just not a real thing to make a living on, which of course clearly obviously wrong. Unreal, I did not rule it out completely. The main reason I decided not to use it is that from what I had heard and seen with Unreal Engine game is that it could be difficult to optimize performance-wise. One example could be given as, of course, the Bolivian remaster, which they used Unreal Engine rendering. Its first launch kind of had some issues. I've had some personal issues sometimes with, for example, optimizing Hogwarts Legacy, which is also an Unreal Engine. But this is just my personal take on that. For complexity on optimizing performance and just some surface stuff that I've heard online, I've just decided to rule out just because of that. On top of Unreal Engine tends to favor, well, I mean, really, what it's most popular for is just it's extremely realistic graphics. I'm not looking to design games that are actually realistic graphics. I want to design something more stylized or animated, like cartoon style, some type of stylized graphics, like Borderlands, for example. I like that, more of that abstract kind of graphical style. I'm not looking for to make lifelike graphic process. Plus, as coming from an indie game studio, I need to look on much smaller scopes, so I'm kind of minimizing the rendering process to minimize, so it's more of a stylized, much more simpler scope of rendering. The Unreal Engine is an excellent platform to build on. However, from what I saw in the dev community at the time, which was 2019, I'm, as a small company looking to develop my projects, I'm pretty much relying on building off of templates, other asset packages, to build my projects with. That way I can get an expedited process in my projects. I have something to build from and not completely work from scratch. So at the time of 2019, at least whenever I was doing my research, there just wasn't a whole lot to work with on the Unreal Engine store. But now it's actually a little bit different. There's more options, but I just haven't really been doing much research in it, and I just kind of written this off early on just because of just those cons to me. Also, back in 2019, when I first started doing my research on these engines, now I'm going to come over here and start talking about Godot. Godot was always kind of still on the plate for me, but at least in the time at 2019, it seemed a great platform to build on for an indie. I was very interested in using it. I liked that the scripting language was significantly easier to jump in on. Everything was just so easy to quickly learn. But the main problem, at least when I first started my education, is I couldn't find very many courses online. There were courses on YouTube and stuff, but they're far and few between. At least my main courses that I've been using is actually GameDev.tv. That's been my favorite platform for courses. Since they didn't have any at the time, I just decided to rule it off just because I couldn't find any good, thorough courses to cover that. The community then was great, but as far as it came down to, still I was looking for some type of asset templates to work with. There's lots of great assets to work with on the Godot store, At that time, though, there was hardly anything. There was very, very limited things, just mainly like baseline controllers. I was looking for something a little bit more strong feature related to build on. Uh, as I found, there are good asset templates now, though. There's been one that's recently come up that's called Cogito. It's like a first person shooter type template. It's great to work off of. I would be willing to work on a project with that. However, still, the main issue that I feel like with Godot for me still getting over to its game engine is that uh, just right out of the box, there's no direct way of porting to different platforms to export your projects out to. There's third parties that you can use for exports, but since this is just a main deterrent to me, since it's not an all-in-one package to where I can easily get those packages straight from the game engine to export to different like Xbox or PlayStation or those various platforms or Linux or Mac. Uh, just not having that availability as quickly and efficiently through the actual engine is a turnoff for me. But still, I'd like to eventually use Godot or Unreal. I'm not excluding those completely, but I have ruled them out because of those reasons. Also, just to kind of give you a tidbit of information, uh, I'd mentioned that I started most of my education back in 2019. From research online, most educational courses I was finding were Unity. And of course, I'd mentioned GameDev.tv. I picked up a Humble Bundle pack on a lot of really good course baseline classes to take me over all the fundamentals of going through Unity and building games through it, which has been extremely beneficial, and it's given me uh, more than my foundation to build off of. I'm more than confident enough to build games on my own, but as I keep stating, I like to use asset packs, especially if they're built foundational templates to build off of, just because of really I'm only building games by myself. As of right now, at least, I don't have any current contractors in helping me with my projects. So working with asset packs and asset packs that have consistent updates will work best. And here we are to Unity. And pretty much I have chosen to stick with Unity. Of course, we had a nasty scare from last year, which did discourage me for sticking with the Unity. I'm not going to get much into that other than that, as far as I'm aware, and what I've seen so far, we have a good CEO through Unity that's being very transparent from what I'm seeing, and developers on the platform of Unity. So hopefully we're on a good track for that. I'm going to continue my learning process in this. One of the big reasons why I chose Unity is not just because of the educational courses that I got through GameDev.tv. It's because of the community is huge. Most of the percentage, at least before last analytical research I remember seeing was, I think, 2023, like 70 or 60% of most indie projects were actually Unity game engines from the engine. Uh, it's easy to learn to pick up how to do things. This is my experience. It's easy to port to different platforms. It's just a matter of downloading those packages. One thing that I've really liked is the occlusion cooling. It's built in. It's kind of a neat little package that you can have built in and integrate for performance with your projects. The asset store is massive. There's lots of really good options, lots of templates to choose from. There's more options, of course, than Godot and Unreal that I'm seeing, but that may be changing too with Unreal and Godot, at least today. But as far as I've seen, and what I'm still following is mainly Unity now, since it keeps continuously growing. Uh, Optimization for performance can be easier to manage depending on what type of game you're building on, of course. This is just my experience, just because most of my investment has been in Unity. I don't have experience with that versus Unreal and Godot, but this is what I'm just going with my experience going forward. All right, I'm going to move on, and here going forward, I'm going to be talking about mainly Unity assets. These are assets that I've already pretty much gone through my roadmap of process elimination, which ones I'm actually going to use for building my projects. Some of these I have some experience for actually using in projects, and some of them I have hardly any experience, but just surface experience. But I'll go through them here. I'm going to start out with here. You can see this is the Ultimate Character Controller through Opsive. My opinion, this is an excellent asset. They have excellent support. They have an excellent all-in-one package to jump start into a first-person game. This can be development-wise in so many different types of projects. It's a lot of assets, which this is the reason why I kind of landed on this, is there's a lot of other assets that can be integrated with this. However, just this is my experience, because my game that I have on Steam and on itch.io, Retro Range, I built with Ultimate Character Controller. It can be a nightmare integrating assets with it. Granted, if you're integrating assets that are through the Opsive developers, they're flawless integration. If they're third-party or separate studio, I should say, to the Opsive character controller, if you have a familiarity with integrating assets with something already built, you can get into issues to where fingers can be pointed from each different developer saying, no, it's this person's fault, they need to do blah, 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 blah. Or it can go to the other way, no, they need to do blah, 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 blah. This is just my experience. I'm not trying to point any fingers here. I just got tired of trying to figure out how to integrate some of these assets that I was wanting additional features with through the Ultimate Character Controller. So after that process of elimination with trying to integrate so many different asset packages, I just decided to rule it off. But as far as if you're trying to just build a first-person shooter game, Ultimate Character Controller is a great asset pack. If you're specifically just wanting the first person, I would recommend getting that separate package. But otherwise, this Ultimate Character Controller is great for multiple different types of projects. It's great for prototyping. It's a great foundational point to start building something off very, very quickly and very efficiently. I'm going to move on to the next asset, and here I'm going to be talking about Kit Controller. To be honest, I almost kind of wish I would have started on this one over the Ultimate Character Controller or the first-person character controller through Opsive, just because of the fact that it is a bargain for how many features are in it. It's crazy how much is in this package. I don't even really want to go through the list of actually naming off what all is involved in it, but it's an excellent character controller. And if you're looking for multiple different types of features integrated with your character controller, this is a great one to go with. This one also has integration with other assets. I've never tried experiencing doing any of that. I didn't have a desire to, just because of my experience with Ultimate Character Controller and integration, that process with that. But my opinion, with as many features it already has, there's really almost no need to, just because of the fact of how much is involved in this asset package. The price, like I said, it's a no-brainer for picking it up on for how many features, and with it being an amazing controller, even if you were just to use the baseline character controller stuff off of this, it's great. You can build so many different variety types of games off of this. The documentation, from what I was going through, it's great. It's a bit lacking, though unfortunately a lot of it ends up being some videos and stuff, which is not really, it's not my preference. I don't really like watching videos always necessarily to know how to do something through a kit, an asset package. It's okay, especially if they're able to communicate it quickly and efficiently and just get the points across. But sometimes, really, I like reading. It just, to me, I learn it so much better, and then I have a actual like document to read, and instead of an actual video where I gotta pause and come back to if I'm actually trying to do and replicate what I'm trying to learn. But the best way I noticed to learn versus that documentation would be actually just diving into the example projects on the game Kit controllers. There's so many demo scenes of literally all the features that are included in this. If you're looking how to do something feature related to this package, I would recommend you just deep diving into those demo scenes and seeing how things work. All right, the next asset I'm going to talk about is RPG Builder. This is just something recently too that I'm actually going to discuss that I literally just found out. But I picked this up through a Humble Bundle package, and I was going to use it and just experiment with it, RPG related, for some projects. It's a great template, great building point for an RPG game. I really ruled this one out just because of the fact of it having a very complex character sheet system, and I wanted something significantly more like simplistic to that, to minimize my scope as an indie game studio. I recommend it. However, I don't know if I would recommend it anymore, just because of the fact that I've tried to find it on the Unity store and it's actually no longer available, and I don't even see a new version for it anymore. But you can see here, of course, they were the best development tool in 2021. It is basically not even available on the store anymore, which is kind of disappointing. Maybe there's no longer any support for it, but as far as I can tell, I'm not seeing any updates on it. I don't really follow them on social media, which is kind of unfortunate, and this is something you kind of have to take into factor whenever you do decide to go with asset packages. Developers could just just be done with their building and just pull it entirely from the store, and then you no longer have access to it. Next, I'm going to talk about the RPG editor ORK framework. This, I wish I would have found sooner rather than later. I would have actually done some more experimenting with it. It's an excellent framework to work for RPGs. If I was to build an RPG from scratch, this is what I would use. It literally gives you all the skeleton, just back-end foundational work for building out your character sheets and all your NPCs. It's a great foundational work. It even has some type of like visual scripting built into it, that you can allow for event type systems to manipulate and create through it. You can still use, of course, your traditional C# scripting with it, but this is an excellent platform to just kind of build something that if you're actually building from scratch. However, because I want to work with something that has something to build from, since this is a good framework, I want something more template based where I actually have something visually there, something already built out, that I can literally go in and manipulate it and change it however I need to. Then that way I can see something from a full 100% example of something, and I can change it into what I need it to be. But this is a great platform to build off of. Has multiple different types of RPGs that you can build off of it. Real-time, action-based, turn-based. Just a really good asset to work with if you're looking into building some type of RPG. However, I did look into some of the demos. They require you to download some separate packages, asset packages, to use that, but you're not allowed to use any of these examples to build off of. So basically you can use them to learn off of, but since a lot of the items that are in it are copyright, so you have to be advised with that. You'll just have to use them for examples and build your own ideas outside of that. And so finally, through all the asset packages that I've kind of gone through on my progressive elimination, I've landed here on RPG Creation Kit. This is really what I was looking for in an asset template since I first started in 2019. This is a complete all-in-one package to build on top of. Uh, and here's one of the biggest things. If you've seen some of my other videos, I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan. So a lot of this stuff has been inspired and developed off of those inspirations. So if you're familiar with the construction kit or the creation kit, uh, the Bethesda editors, then you'll be right at home with this. The format and the structure and the organization of this package is just feels right at home when it comes to these construction kits and the creation kit. The documentation covers all the basics to get you started. It's in depth analysis, very, very thorough. You can work through how things work for your project. Uh, Basically, just going through the documentation, you can transfer that to your project by it running you through all the documentation. Allows you to see how things work, and then gives you the idea. So how this is how I can use the dialogue system, or this is how I can use the questing system. It really just kind of deep dives into the main features of this asset package. The support, it's excellent. They have a really good Discord community that's very responsive. If the main creator, you can see here on this page, Sylvmat, if he doesn't reply, there's some other really good people that are faithful to this asset that will respond to you and can give you some advice as well. If they don't, then Sylvmat eventually will come in and respond to you. He's pretty good about it and coming back, giving you feedback on any kind of questions you may have. As I'd mentioned, he's working on additional updates for the template. He has a roadmap, features, future features to be added. Let's see here. Currently, let's go over to the website. You can see here the main features. There's a questing system, which is extraordinary. And then, of course, it's got built-in AI, and you can manipulate that and change their behaviors how you need to with combated type creature AI as well. There's a player controller based system, combat system, as you see in your traditional, where you can see the inspiration from the Elder Scrolls series. This is a recent update he's done where you have the switchable third person in the first person to third person controller where you can change. He's integrated a magic system that you can build off of. He's also implemented firearms. Mounts is something recently, and this is another big deal right here to me. Is it's just the dialogue systems, and it's integrated, of course, with the quests. This is a really well structured system. I love the workflow and how it works. His documentation really takes you by the hand and shows you how to build out an example quest and how to do this and what's the potential of it. Here's another huge deal, which I'm not really going to be building huge open worlds, but this allows a massive potential here with the world streaming, allowing you to have cells so that you can have a good optimized performance for an open-ended world. If you're creating that, there's a built-in save system. It has custom powerful editors, which is great for creating your items and NPCs, and or this organization just between these editors makes it amazing. Of course, he's got all of the source code and scripting involved that you can have here, and you can edit to your will and to your pleasing. He has included 3D models and animations. There's more, of course. I can go over here to his main page, and you can just see here. I've already gone through some of this. There's abilities, factions. This is a big deal because of the factions, because in that way you can determine whether they're an enemy or they're friendly. Auto-saving future. There's a trade system, that's great too. Integrated so that you can have a vendor type system and currency. There's all, like I mentioned earlier on that other page, the world streaming, the cells and world spaces. This comes kind of, if you're familiar with the creation kit system where there's interior cells and world space cells, and they are formatted and structured differently, just depending on what type of world or level you're trying to build. It also has effects and consumables. There's an item system, item ownership and stealing, pickpocketing systems, scripting support, event systems. Here's another big deal for me. It has a character creation system that you can build off of. And coming into talking about the character system, it even has in his documentation, for example, if you don't want to use what he has included model-wise for your characters, you can go in and change those models and create new different types of races between that, and be able to customize those character models for your type of project. And you can see here there's a database system which will actually save all of your information related to items and all the consumables, all that kind of stuff within your game data. There's localization with the damage, aggro modifiers, and of course gamepad support for many different types of controllers. I haven't really exactly looked into that, but that'll definitely something I'll be interested in, mainly because I'm kind of targeting Steam Deck. That's my main interest for different types of devices that I'm going to build for specifically. Anyway, yes, it's just an amazing asset package that's just checking all the boxes for me, and I'm hopeful that Silvermat will just stay on this and continuously update and stay in the project, because this is an excellent just template that I've been just looking for a while to build off of. Yeah, so my main plan, I'm going to be using Unity as my game engine, and I'm going to be using the RPG Creation Kit asset package to develop my projects. I have multiple micro projects that I plan to build to my larger project, which I plan to build eventually, is Afterborn. My micro projects are going to be small stepping stones to that larger project of Afterborn. This is just a good process to take, is to make smaller steps to larger steps, and each of these micro games that I'll be creating will be a closer step into making the larger scope game that I would like to make. This was a summary of my process of elimination and finding what was best suits myself and my projects on developing going forward. I'm going with, like I said, the RPG Creation Kit through Unity. This has just been my path. It's been up and down with between crazy stuff going on with Unity and being discouraged in all my educational background in that, and thinking about using a different engine, but thankfully that I feel like that's been settled and solved for me. So I'm gonna stay on Unity and use Unity and RPG Creation Kit. I hope that this video has kind of inspired you and encouraged you to kind of think and walk through your own path, to be positive and to be creative in your own projects. Thanks for watching, and as I said, be positive, be creative.